Welcome back to ShopDog-Garage. It's a 78 Camaro video. It's a little nippy in here, but it's about as warm as it's been for a week. It's almost 30 degrees outside. So, you know, can't complain that much. If you recall from last week, we got the transmission cross member done and we were happy with that. One of the things we want to do this week is we're coming up on time to figure out where that's got to get cut. So we're going to dig out the new radiator. And somewhere around here we got some fans. Yep, sitting right there. So we will get the core support set up here, play with the radiator, make sure we're going to have plenty of room, but I think we will, and go from there. Alright, so the radiator looks pretty nice. We'll get a closer look here shortly, but not bad looking there, Summit. And then anyone who's worked with me in the past knows that price for performance. I really like these Durale power packs. These have worked great in a lot of projects for me over the years, and you get a lot of options on sizing. So yeah, let's see if these are going to fit. Okay, we're going to have to play some games with some brackets here. I think we had tried to use this in the Corvette and it just didn't fit because of the control arms, but you can see I've got a good width and covers the entire core. So I would just have to make a bracket that could bolt in on this flange here, and then probably the bottom of that. But let's see how the radiator actually sits in here. Might be a little trimming, might be some work in here. So let's kind of go from there. Okay, so we're kind of looking at our stack up, and we did buy new little cushions. So before we open this plastic and own this radiator, we wanted to make sure there was even a chance that it was going to fit. And it looks like it will. We just have a towel sitting on those flaps we're going to have to move. So you can see they'll get bolted in here. So that's probably one of the upcoming mods here, because that will increase the airflow. So right now you can see how much of the air we're missing. You know, not as much on this side, but quite a bit on the other side. And the other thing we want to know is this going to be an issue here? I honestly don't think so, but I now have a reference point. I don't even have to stand it up. I can measure from the center here. Okay, Harlan's decided maybe we should protect the new radiator. Well, I've been going crazy on the core support. So for starters, since we bought these new little rubber doodads, we kind of know where we're going to wind up is right here. So once those are in there, there was a lip here that had to be taken out, and also there was a giant tab here, and there's some of it right there that had to come off. Same on this side. You know, we didn't need those tabs, but the radiator would have hit them. So don't want any stress on the radiator. So went ahead and trimmed those while we know it. Still trying to decide the best way to trim this out, because what happens is, see these holes here, there's 3 of those wind up right here. So I'm going to have to trim it like that and then cut all this excess out. And then this side is a little closer, so it's cut it out and then trim it to fit here. And then that creates a nice little air duct, so that the fresh air from the outside is what the radiator is trying to ingest, instead of warm air looping around. You'll still get, you know, a little bleed, but it won't be anywhere near as bad. So, trying to decide if that's plasma or if I can do it with the death wheel. Let's find out. Well, that was a mess of sparks, but I got them cut off. Now we haven't cut them down yet. I want to flip it over and kind of verify that everything is good, but you can see we opened it right up into the window. I wouldn't run my fingers. There might be still a few sharp spots. But like this is the one that came off the big side. You can see how much of that we're going to have to trim off. But yeah, this is the factory intended that, and I'm sure it had to do with the heavy duty radiator option. Okay, that was a lot of sparks and a lot of mess. Look at that. That's the concept there. And this side already had this swoop in it. We kind of replicated it there based on where this spot weld was. So unless we see a reason to, I'd like to not open that any further. Yeah, this, whoop, knocking over cardboard. But that, so remember this was here, and this one was way over here, you know, for a much smaller radiator. Now this opens the entire width. So that looks great. Wow. We've lined up on that rubber mount and on that rubber mount. And this is why we wanted to move those. Look how much more air there's going to be. Yeah, that's going to work slick. And then should be a mount there and a mount there. And we don't know where the top plate is, but it's somewhere. Yeah, this shows just how much more room that'll be going into that radiator. Yeah, that's going to be great. Well, we found it, but it's a lot smaller. It shows you just how little the radiator was. So if you line all that up, it's actually not grabbing the welds there. It's sitting across the top here. But to be fair, that might work. So we got to look at it. I'd have to pull some of this stuff because we don't need the shroud. But yeah, so we're going to have to play with that a little bit. Might be able to make it work. And because I'm perpetually looking for hardware, I'm still looking for something that fits here. But I think I might be able to make that work. We are going to look and see if they actually make one that fits the wider radiator. But if not, I think we can make this work. Alright, so this shows us that this is actually probably not the end of the world to do here. So obviously we're going to have to make new brackets. We're talking about maybe making something that kind of comes in and has a lip and can kind of go in here. So we'll have to work on that a little bit. But what I'd like it to be is something you could undo without having to pull the whole radiator, if at all possible. If we can't, we can't. But that would definitely be kind of nice. The other option, of course, is maybe we can turn these into nutserts here. So maybe we make a little shelf bracket and then these become nutserts instead of nuts and bolts like they are now. So those are also options. I would like to be able to service this without opening the cooling system. You know, just based on our experience with things. But we're going to do a little learning, see if we can get something a little cooler than that. Preferably something that actually pinches both sides. That would be really cool. If we can't, we can make it work. We can see that, but you know, who knows what's out there. Well, we got a couple other things we want to check, so we'll be back in a minute. For something completely different, we're playing with pulleys. Everybody who's watched some of our videos knows we like CVF. They're just down the road from us a ways, and you know, I think they give you a pretty good product for the money. So we're just kind of going through our kit here and seeing what's what. We did have to do the relocation for the alternator because you can see where that control arm is. So hopefully this is enough. We're making progress here. Now unfortunately they sent a fine thread and this one happens to have a coarse thread, but that's fine. We did have to do that relocation bracket. We knew we would, and even then, that's pretty close. But close is fine. We can work with close. The clocking here is actually probably going to be fine. So, might not even have to reclock it. I don't believe this is the pulley and fan we're going to use. I think we'll be changing those, but those just came with it. So, we'll continue. There's a reason we test fit stuff. You remember how tight that was over there? Well, because we're doing the Hydro Boost, we spent extra money and we bought a pump that already had both returns on it for Hydro Boost. But you see, here's a problem. That's it. That's all the adjustment we get. That's not enough to do a belt for power steering. Also, yeah, we could probably grind the head off, but that doesn't buy us much. This isn't even all the way back yet, but yeah. So, that's a real bummer. Well, I guess this pump's going back. That's a real bummer. I really liked it. So, we got to think how we want to do this now. So, you knew something was going to catch us. Let's see how our alignment's looking here. Yeah, we're probably going to get a little snug here, although that's not uncommon on big block water pumps. So, yeah, that might be the next thing I want to check before we get too crazy. Okay, so we took that back off. Oh, we hate sending it back because it had those 2 feeds, but we'll figure something else out. You know, and I know that's snug, and it might suck when the car's together, but it will clear, and it will work. So, that's probably all we're going to get done here tonight. We're going to do some cleanup and some other little things, but I think that's it for the 78 Camaro night. We did quite a bit of test fitting. We need to look and see if there's a new radiator top plate available for these that would be a better fit. If not, well, we can just make stuff. And we're going to have to find a different power steering pump. Bummer. Really liked having that dual feed. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. All right, we're back. Harlan was going through some of his stuff. We found something that's going to work. So it turns out we're right. It is about the heavy-duty radiator. 70 to 79 V8 Camaro. But look at this. See, these 2 holes are a little wider. That hole lines up in the middle. So if that hole's lined up, look what's stamped right there. There's a hole there and a hole there. 2 nut certs, and I can make that happen. So we can put a nut cert here and a nut cert here, and that will literally bolt right up. And then we just measured 26 and not quite 5/8, but almost there. And that's the top of that radiator. And then here's the other thing. Because then you say to yourself, oh, it can't be that easy. It just can't be. But then, okay, let's line that up. Look, it literally can be that easy. So, yeah. Now, are we going to use that one? We don't know. We'll find out. We want to see if there's some other options, but this one would work a treat. Anyway, please like, comment, and subscribe. Says, drink responsibly.